of the talking, which he generally does. He's comfortable with that. And I think I can handle it. It's been taking me years to get over it, but he does a good job, actually.
Oh, you talk enough.
Did everybody get the notes that I send out? Kind of like the agenda. If anybody needs that, please get it. I sent a lot of reminders with the notes. I was on a podcast, a webinar the other day with one of the women that I follow in the emailing field. And she's an expert there. And she had every 15 minutes for the hour was coming through. It was really good. I was like, oh, this is good. And it reminded me because you get distracted by things in your business. So it helped an awful lot. And a couple of you guys have been here before for other webinars. We have any first timers? We have 2 people that are first timers now. And they're on mute. So oh, Justine's there and Jennifer's there. She raise her hand. Jennifer raised her hand as well. She's a first timer. And anyway, I want to introduce you to Eric and I to the Morning Tech Meeting experience. And we had a blue collar service business for 12 years in Southern California. Eric started in Utah and then he came down and found me because we were friends. We went to college in New Hampshire together. Eric's from Maine, I'm from New Jersey. And yeah, he talked me into it.
I'm good at sales.
2008, everything was great. Too late, 2007, we thought everything was great with the economy. Things went a little bit south, but that's a whole nother story we need to get into today. So I'm ready to dive in. If anybody has any questions or anything, please let me know. And I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Eric Sprague. Hello, Eric.
Thanks, man.
It's a clap track.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming. What we're talking about today is culture. And, Larry and I have a lot of friends, a lot of peers in the blue collar service business. And that's what most of you here are doing. But this really applies to any business. And they would complain all the time. The guys are driving me crazy. I can never leave. Everything's going wrong. There's too many callbacks. My guys don't upsell, just complaint after complaint after complaint, year after year, month after month, And, Larry and I had the same problems. We had the same issues. We had a business that, we grew. And in the early years, we would complain a lot about the guys too. And what guys don't realize, a lot of business owners, we get stuck in this mode of, I need to work on my business. I need to work on my business. But the thing is, the lowest hanging fruit is building a company culture that will allow you to get where you want to go. And that's the secret that most people don't ever get to. So we're going to go into that in some detail. We're going to do a little quick thing. Some of you guys already know us, but we're going to get into a little bit of our background first and how our culture was so not good. And then we'll get into ways to fix it. So anyway, Larry, why don't you take it away?
So yeah, this is Eric and I doing the work. We've been there and we've done it. We're not the talking head that's been in college and studying these things for years or studying other people. This is me under a house. This is Eric at a water damage job. I don't even remember. Actually, that was a selfie that he took. He likes selfies. He's kind of like that. He has a lot of them. But anyway, and you might hear us going back and forth, tooling on each other. This is what college roommates do to each other. Over the years, we have quite a rapport. So don't think that we're offending each other. We beat each other up once or twice a year, and that fixes everything. Always. So anyway, I was under a house here, and you could see I was dirty. So it just proves that we've done the hard work to get our company to a place where we were able to sell it, and we're talking from an experienced position. And it shows, and Eric explains this much better than I do. So why don't you continue the next slide, Eric?
Sure. Well, let's give a little history. Larry and I, as he said, I actually started the business in 2007. I was doing it by myself, one-man van out of my garage up in Utah. Wanted to grow. Larry didn't really like his job all that much. He came to visit. I put him to work. I talked him into starting the business in California so that we could scale it up bigger, more people. And we opened our doors January 2nd, 2008 with essentially no experience and no clients. So any of you historians know that right about then is when the Great Recession started. And Larry and I were pretty much doomed from the start. I can remember we were working in Larry's garage, and we each had a cell phone, and that was our only company phone. And we would call the phone to see if it actually rang, because we thought they must not work because nobody's calling us.
Yeah, we were a
And
little paranoid at one point.
yeah, well, it was getting a little hairy. But we fought and we scrapped and we just did anything we could do to stay alive. We did real estate trash outs, we did janitorial, we did anything that we could, just to keep going. And then around 2010, as things started to get better, we started to grow. Right, we started to really get a lot of work, and that sounds great, except that's when all the problems started for us, because we weren't capable of building a company yet. We didn't have the skills or the mindset to have a bunch of guys. And we worked through that, and we'll go back to that next. But then we were turnkey by 2000. By 2015, Larry and I didn't really work in the business anymore. We worked on it, but we didn't need to show up. We'd go on vacation for several weeks a year, and the business would run itself. And to be honest, Larry, and I think you could back me up, it ran better when we weren't around.
Yeah, and it took us a while to realize that the
Yeah.
guys around us were very good. Once we got them invested in the business and focused with the culture,
Yeah.
it ran really well.
And then we got the opportunity to sell to another restoration company in 2018, and we took them up on that. So we could do this. So that's what we've been doing since. But backwards a little bit, in 2008, our world headquarters was Panera Bread. I think we hired Larry, first 10 guys we hired at Panera.
We interviewed everybody for at least the first year and a half at Panera.
Yeah.
And it was a trip. It works really well. I mean, it's a nice place. We had one guy, he spray painted his hair on, what was the guy that did that? What was his name? The company, Ron Popeil. Yeah. So he spray painted his hair on. It was quite entertaining. I didn't get it until it was kind of dripping on the edge.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was getting nervous and it started to drip down his forehead. That was getting a little odd. But yeah, I mean, Larry and I, like a lot of you, we started from scratch. We started from zero. We started with nothing, and we worked. And like I had said earlier, there's a picture of Larry taking out trash, and we were doing trash outs. That jacuzzi you see, you could see in the middle there's a line. I tried to take a Sawzall to it and get it in 4 pieces so that it would be easy to carry, but it didn't work out. Larry and I had to muscle it out. But
yeah,
we did everything we could. And then because we kept showing up, we got work. And you could see Larry smiling there, but as we started to get more work and we started to hire,
that's a smile. That's more of a grunt.
Is it? Well,
yeah,
I'm going to say it's a smile. We started to grow, and then you can see in this picture this is 2012, so it's 4 years down the road. But now we have uniforms. Now we have a building. Now we have multiple trucks. Now we're Angie's List super service providers, whatever. And from the outside, like when we'd go to a chamber meeting, people would say, "Your company's so amazing. All your people are great, and this and that and the other thing." But it only looked good on the outside. On the inside, we were in chaos, because the amount of things that Larry and I had to do to keep those 5-star reviews coming and to look good on the outside was all a bit of a smokescreen in a way, because we didn't have the skills to build a good culture and build technicians that could go out and upsell and run a job on their own and not break things and all these things. So this is what it looked like behind the scenes. So you see Larry and I holding that little super service provider thing, but these are actual pictures from vans of that era in our company.
Yeah, those aren't internet pictures. Those aren't ones that you go, "Oh, I need something that looks like something," and you find it and you download it.
I pulled those out of my phone. I've never taken them out of my phone because I don't ever want to forget what that was like. Where I'd come back at the end of the day, whip open the door to a truck, and it would look like that. Right. So Larry and I realized we've got a major disconnect between what we're trying to do and what the team's trying to do, or the team, because Larry and I at this point, why do most business owners start a business? They want freedom and they want financial incentive or financial security, right? That's why we all do it. We want money and we want free time and freedom. But the reality is that if we're doing that for all selfish reasons, there's nothing in it for the team to want to do it, right? They got a job. They just have a job. They come in. And when you have a job, you get results like this, where you're just hucking the equipment in. I mean, the amount of money, Larry, that you and I spent on just equipment breaking because it was just getting mistreated is like, I still get hot under the collar about it, right?
Yeah. And we
So-
just didn't know what was going on.
So the thing is that we started to realize like, this is no way to run a business. Other businesses don't look like this. Why are we always angry? Why do the guys not care? Why is everything a mess? Why are we losing so much profit? Because that's the thing. We keep selling. Larry and I are good at sales and good at marketing. We kept growing and growing and growing and growing, but we weren't putting that money in our pocket. We were growing to grow. And then what we do is run around behind what you're seeing on this screen, trying to keep all the balls in the air, juggling. And while we're doing that, we're just losing profit. So the money's flying in the front door, but then it's flying right out the back warehouse door.
I don't know if many of you guys are familiar with this scenario, because many service businesses have this happen all the time. So again,
especially when you grow fast. When you grow really fast, you don't have time to catch that up. And that's what we were doing. I mean, we had a year where we went from like 225,000 to $1 million in less than 12 months. And we probably brought on 5 or 6 people in that time, and we were not prepared for that, right? So our culture, for lack of a better word, stunk. It just wasn't good. So we realized, and this is a key point for everybody listening, that we had to change. You know, it's easy to sit there and complain that they need to change, the tech needs to get better. Why don't they know this stuff? Why won't they do it? But the reality is that it's your business. It's all on you. We're going to talk about that a whole bunch today. So we started to invest in ourselves. We joined Piranha Marketing, and we actually came in second in the country in a contest to better our best as far as revenue went. But we got to meet Richard Branson. And Larry, what did Richard Branson, what was his deal? What did he tell us?
he told me I should have kept my hair. Actually, no. So
I don't think that was an option.
No, it wasn't. I know you guys keep your hair pretty well. I don't. Anyway, we were in a room where we won this award. There was like 20 people in the room, and we were asking questions. Richard Branson was really cool, and he was telling us all these great stories. He was a really good speaker, and he was kind of more hanging out with us because it was a small environment. And then somebody said, Richard Branson, what makes you so successful?
He said, what's the secret
to your success? Yeah. And he pretty much said, work out daily. You got to go out and you got to work out every day. And he went on how he works out every day. And we all looked at him like, you got to be kidding me. And we were like looking for something a little bit more profound. But he said, you just have to be on your toes every day. And working out brings out the endorphins, brings out the good things in you. And it just made us think. At the time, we didn't think. We've been reflecting on this all the years because we're still in business. But you take care of yourself, you can take care of others. You get a workout in the morning or in the evening and you feel better, you can do better work. You'll treat the people around you better, your staff, which we're talking about here, but also your family, your spouse, your kids, your parents. You're in a better mood.
Yeah. And I think his point, Larry, was like, we all kind of sat around dumbfounded, like, work out every day. What the heck's that mean, you know? But then as we started to talk about it, even at our table, his point is that it all begins and ends with you. So you have to do the right things. Therefore, it will then trickle down to everybody else.
Yeah.
He didn't say it that way, but that's what he meant, you know? So we did that. And then Larry and I, we realized after that it's on us. We have to grow as people. And that's what, you know, that's the whole reason of this. We have to keep growing. We joined Howard Partridge. You can see the picture on the right. We went to Ziegler headquarters, got trained there. We went to Grant Cardone's 10X conference. I mean, we were always going to Darren Hardy. We were going to everything, right? Working on ourselves. And as we started to work on ourselves, we started bringing this information back, and we were more open to working on the team together, because both Larry and I certainly were never good at training people at the beginning. Like, we did not want to, we always had an excuse that we were too busy to train anyone, or that we
Isn't
didn't like to train.
we complain because we go, oh, my guys are driving us nuts. Oh, they're driving us nuts. We all say that
Right.
as small business owners.
And then as we started to go to these seminars and get certified in things and read these books and be exposed to speakers, we started realizing that they're not going to get these skills on their own. You know, in the end of the day, it was going to be up to us. Like, we could complain about the school system and that they aren't getting trained by them. We can complain about the parents and they didn't train them. Well, we have them now. So if we want to have a good life for ourselves, we realized we had to start investing our time, energy, and resource into them. So the light bulb started to go on. Our company was nowhere near good when we were doing all this, but we were starting to form that mentality of, oh, we need to work on the team. So when we got back from that, Larry's like, okay, you need help learning how to train people, because I sucked at it, basically, right? So I went to John Maxwell. We had seen him at Howard Partridge conference, and I got trained. And it was really enlightening for me, and it really changed my mindset. Dr. Maxwell got me to see that the only results I was going to get is what I was going to pour into our team members. So all of a sudden that light bulb goes on. I'm like, okay, finally, I get it. You know, I understand what it needs to be, you know, basically a servant leader. I'm serving them. And then therefore they'll do what it is that's good for us. So I came back, and you can see in these pictures, I started speaking in public. I started going to like real estate conventions and speaking, insurance companies, just like everything. You know, anywhere I could speak and talk and teach, I would, because I realized that the more I did it, the better that I could do it for our guys. You know, it was practice for me. So I was doing
the pictures
that.
there. We had a mastermind groups, different mastermind groups that people are still asking Eric to come. We'd speak at real estate events. As you can see in the lower right, there was a couple, maybe 100 people there, and they were really into it. They're still asking, when's Eric coming back? When's Eric coming back? And,
Yep.
you know, we're focusing more on what we're leading up to, but go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. So what I was doing though is in the issue that I found. So I'm doing all this training, and I'm training all these realtors, and everybody's loving it. But then I'm going back, and we started doing what, Larry? A 1 day a week morning meeting.
Yep.
So we're doing once a week, which was 1 day more than we had ever done before. And I'm like trying to teach the same lessons. But the thing is that the Maxwell stuff's kind of more for executives and managers and white collar professions, stuff like that. It wasn't that it was over our guy's head. It just didn't resonate with them in any way. You know, they just sit there like blank faced as I would go on and on about whatever I learned at Maxwell. And even though it mattered to our business, and just like it would to yours, it didn't resonate with them. So then I started realizing that I needed to speak to them in their language. So what I did was, we started doing these daily meetings. You can see, I mean, they're not fancy. It's out in the warehouse. I have a whiteboard. It was a double-sided whiteboard, which is very cool. Larry bought it for me for Christmas. Best gift I ever had. And, you know, what we did is we just started going in. Like you can see on this board, that's our mission statement. You know, our name was Shamrock. So, you know, it was an acronym, you know, service, honesty, attitude, management, revenue, opportunity, cleanliness, knowledge. So every Monday we did mission statement Monday. That was the turning point for us. That was the game changer, because even though we were only meeting 1 day a week at that point, when we started getting them on the same page, because we'd pick a week and say, okay, we're going to talk about service. And we would start talking, you know, in a group about, well, what did service mean as far as Shamrock Cleaning and Restoration? What did that look like? And, you know, it wasn't me up there talking the whole time. or Larry, we would ask them. Sometimes we would have them teach the week. We'd say, okay, Larry, you're up next week. You're going to do honesty. And then Larry would have to come in prepared. So not only did that give, let's say Larry is a technician, not only did that give Larry the opportunity to speak in public, which is scary for lots of people. And a lot of field service technicians don't love doing that. So having that to have to do it in the shop was huge because it got them used to speaking. But it made the team kind of create the culture on their own without us jamming it down their throat. That's a huge, huge deal. You have to let them be part of it or they're not going to buy in. I was
happened right in front of us. We didn't even realize it was happening.
Yeah.
Because they were all of a sudden connecting on all these lessons and they were talking about it all day long.
Yeah. And it's, when they're having the conversation, like we were setting it up, but then after I do my little 5 minutes, they would have the conversation that was really meaningful. And all of a sudden you have people that like to come to work every day. And look, this doesn't happen overnight. This isn't like you do 3 weeks worth of lessons and you're all good. This is a consistency thing, and it takes time for them to buy in, especially if you haven't been doing it. At first, they're going to think you're insane because they're going to be like, what is Eric talking about? We have never done any of this stuff before. But there has to be a starting point. And, I just ignored that and I just started to go. And we just kept talking about it until it became reality. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Larry, that was when our culture started to shift from a completely owner-driven business where you and I kind of did everything to all of a sudden they're asking for responsibility. They're asking to go to class. They're asking what they can do to get better, right? So all of a sudden, just that shift, and this is where the secret of culture comes in. When you start investing a little bit of time and energy into them, they're going to pay you back in spades what you just invested, right? Excuse me. So the reality is, and Larry and I learned this firsthand, a happy team creates happy owners. The most unhappy owners I know are the ones who dislike their teammates the most. And the reality is, it's not your company. Let's say Larry and I own this company, but without the team, it's just Larry and I. We can't grow. We're 1 or 2 vans at the most. And, we have job. It's basically a job at that point, right? But to build a company, it requires you to build a team, to build a culture where people love to come to work. You can see the picture on the left. That's Ashley and I. Ashley was one of our marketing reps. We're out having a barbecue in the back of the shop for the team, right? It's these little things. The guys in the middle, some of our technicians after work, having a beer, right? It's Ashley, Leslie, and I in the warehouse, just hanging out. We tried. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it has to be some effort on your part to get them to love working where you work. Okay. And the reality is, like it or not, you already have a culture in your business. The question is it a good one where everybody's got a uniform and a smile and they're happy to come to work and they want to be there? Or is it a bad culture where they feel like it's just a job? They feel like you don't appreciate them, or they're not getting trained well enough, and there's no rules and there's no systems, and you get results like you can see there in the vans. I mean, look at the van on the right in the front. That picture, that was probably 12 years ago. I'm still embarrassed by that picture.
Yeah. Well, let me interrupt you real quick, Eric. It took years for this to happen, for this tech whispering skill, for you to connect with the guys and have the lessons, taking the Maxwell from the blue collar to connecting, resonating with the technicians in a different direction. It made a big difference when it happened, but it didn't happen overnight. But these lessons are all based on the Maxwell lessons. And that's what helped you get the connection with them, because you did well with the Maxwell. You just weren't wearing a tie. You weren't approaching it from that direction. And that made the biggest difference.
Yeah, well, that was the point. At Maxwell, they kind of taught us to dress a certain way and speak a certain way and act a certain way. But with blue collar service technicians, that didn't work. They're like, who is this guy? I don't even know him. 6 months ago, he was climbing under a house with me. So, yeah. So let's talk about the reward. So if you do the work and you build that culture, the rewards are huge. Less turnover. I mean, just think what it costs, Larry, to get a new team member hired, onboarded, trained, and then they leave.
Yep.
I mean, generally, the number's tens of thousands of dollars in most industries. So you want to, have as little turnover as you can. Happier team members. If people feel like you have a good culture at work, they want to come work for you and they want to stay. And that's huge. Add-on sales. Blue-collar service technicians, generally speaking, do not like to sell. They kind of hate it. But if you have a good culture and you work on that and make it fun, then all of a sudden you're going to see those add-on sales go up and up because they buy in. They understand that it's better for them. It's better for the company. It's better for you. It's better for everyone. It's a team thing. Fewer complaints. I mean, there's nothing worse than being at the shop and all of a sudden the customer calls and they're angry because your guy said this or your guy parked in the wrong place or they walked across the yard or they did this, that, or the other thing. You don't want that, right? Which, you get fewer of those and then that equals less stress. And then you get obviously more 5-star reviews and referrals. That's what we all want. If you have a service business, that's what you want. I mean, these rewards are exactly why you went into business to begin with, right? Larry, you always got more tweaked than I did about all this. So why don't you go over this?
Yeah, I still don't like thinking about it because it caused me a lot of stress and frustration because I'm paying these guys, I'm paying them on time, I'm giving them uniforms, and I'm not getting what I'm getting out of it. I'm thinking all those things that I'm giving them, and I give them some attention in the morning, and then I move along because I'm out, I got a lot of things to do. But this created the high employee turnover, created unreliable employees. There wasn't a connection. I didn't have a system of connecting with them. I just was in and out, said a bunch of things and left. And Eric was, busy with the same type of thing. We try to get guys to upsell all the time. And they're like, yeah, I asked her, but he didn't. And he didn't have a connection with the client. They're not connected with the company. They're not going to connect with the client. And our profit margins were low because we weren't having any upsells, because guys were taking forever to get to the job because they weren't doing the best that they could. They'd be taking the job would be that much longer and it would take them that much longer to get there. So the overhead of the job would be higher. And then we'd get fewer online reviews. And the ones that we did get weren't good. And it took us a while to get those back up. And you want to fill 5 good ones with the 1 bad one that you got. And we had less repeat clients and referrals. And this is where the repeat client thing is the silent killer. And this is where Eric and I figured this out years ago. We were riding our bikes one night and we ride up in the hills by our house in the foothills. We went down this one street, real nice street, big houses. And I'm like, oh, we cleaned in that house. We cleaned in that house. There was 4 houses on the street that we cleaned in once. And I was like, how come we never went back to these houses? That's the silent killer. You never know. If your guy goes to a job, they're not going to call you and say, oh, this was terrible. They're just never going to call you back. So there are 4 houses on that street that something did not go well enough for them to call us back. So I call it the silent killer. You'll never know what exactly happened.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you're going to get probably it's the 80-20 rule. 10% are going to tell you how great you are. 10% are going to tell you how terrible you are. And 80% are somewhere in the middle and they might just disappear. And that's the reality for most service businesses.
And you work so hard. Where you make your money is on the repeat clients and the referrals because there's no marketing expense. You know what's going on in that house already. And it's a much easier job. Your costs are dramatically less. So you need those repeat clients and referrals. And you don't want the silent treatment. And this is Melvin.
Let's get into this. Let's get into
this is it. This is more fun stuff.
Let's build a good culture. So this is Melvin. Melvin is one of our technicians. If you could see that little hole behind him, that's a crawl space that's full of about 1.5 feet of water, dead of winter, and it was about 40 degrees down there. And Melvin, when he first came to us, did not like his job. He was a grumpy dude. He didn't want to do anything, this and that. And over time, Melvin bought in. And now you can see Melvin's got his duck waders on and he's ready to go and crawl around in 1.5 feet of 40-degree water with a smile on his face. I remember when I took this picture, excuse me, this picture was the moment that I realized that Larry and I had turned the corner, that we had technicians that would do anything for our company because we were treating them a certain way. And look, it was a long journey to get Melvin to smile to go crawl in a bunch of dirty ass sewage water. It wasn't sewage, it was just water, but it was cold, So let's talk about the system, because Larry and I created a system to get there. Larry, can you take that for a second? I got a cough.
Yeah, use your button too. We don't want to hear you coughing. So the system starts with technical training, which we don't focus on technical training here, but we focus on a system of technical training. There's a system also of soft skill training, which we specialize in, but you have to follow a system. Otherwise, it's never going to work. What we learn most in any business, the systems work great. The McDonald's, that's your quintessential system. More systems in your business, and you make them easy for yourself, they go well. And same thing as operational systems. You have operational systems in your business, and it goes much more smooth. And then there's a review system that we're going to talk about that works really well, keeping our guys engaged so they knew where they were all the time. And you have to commit to these systems and commit to your team. If you're not going to commit to making a better team and having a better culture, you're just going to stay the same way you were. You're just going to be in this loop year in, year out.
Yeah.
There's one guy he had 18 years of business in the restoration business, but he did the same things that he did in the first year over and over and over. So he only had 1 year of experience.
Yeah.
We had another guy that was with us for 4 years, but he learned so much every year. He had 4 years of experience. So one guy's 1 year, one guy's have 4 years. Who's the guy that you're going to put your energy towards? And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead,
the thing is too, you need a system. Nothing happens in a business unless you make a system out of it, and that's the problem most business owners have, or managers, that they don't have enough systems to create the backbone of the business that they really desire to own, right? That's that freedom part. You're not going to have personal freedom or financial freedom without systems. So creating a culture is a skill that can be learned. It's no different than learning how to clean a carpet or do a flood or plumbing or anything else. It's just you've got to work the system. No special people skills are really all that necessary, right? So let's talk about system one, step one, the first thing we did with our guys. People only work for you because they're trying to improve their lives as well. It's a two-sided coin. Yes, you want your company to be better. Yes, you want to make more money, but there has to be something in it for them. And the reality is, for most people, they need to be able to see that they're going to move up somehow. Like, you got to make a game out of it for the employee, right? If they just think, well, I'm just going to do the same job, the same way, with the same clients for the next 20 years, you're mistaken, because they're not going to stick around for that, right? But if you create a path for them, if you create a way to move ahead. So I'll give you an example. You've got to have a budget for training them. You have to make a plan for them. So you sit a technician down and you say, we're going to get you, if you're going to work here a year, if you're doing well in a year, I'll send you to this school. If you get certified in this thing at school and you pass, you get a 50 cent or $1 raise or whatever. After this certain amount of time, I'm going to send you to another school and you're going to get another raise. And they don't have to be big things, but they have to see that there's going to be a progression for them. That's what keeps them excited about coming to your business. If you can't do that and have some incentive for them, they're not going to progress. They're going to get bored and they're going to move on. And then you might have 3 or 4 years into this person and they are very good at whatever it is that you do. For them to leave because they're bored is a huge hit to your service company, because you are not going to replace them all that easily, especially, if you have your own way of doing some stuff, right? So I'm going to tell a quick story. I had a client that he loved this portion of what we're talking about. He loved to buy equipment and he loved to send his people to school. So he would do that. The problem is that after that, he wouldn't do any of the other things that we're going to talk about, right? So he's spending all this time, energy, and money on technical training, but he wasn't investing in the people in any other way, fashion. So what happened? They'd leave anyway because they weren't being treated well. So you can't stop at technical training because that's what most people in the trades or in the service industry do. They do technical and then nothing else. Okay. So don't fall into that trap, but you do need to have a game plan for those guys. Step 2, and this is something that Larry and I did not understand for many, many years. We did not get this. We also were stuck on this technical training treadmill. But the reality is when you get callbacks or when you have those customers, that silent killer, the ones that disappear, they're not disappearing generally because you did a bad technical job or your guy did a bad technical job. They're disappearing because their service experience wasn't as good as they thought it should be, or it didn't measure up to another company that they had had in the past or whatever. You know, this is the one that's killing most people. You've got to get your soft skills down. You know, Larry and I talk about this all the time, and we did it. We lived in a high-end area with many professionals living in $1 million plus homes. And we're sending a couple 20-year-olds to go do service in this house who have none of the communication skills, none of the in-home behavior skills, none of the conflict resolution skills to create an amazing service experience. So what we're really doing is we're sending those guys out for slaughter because, yeah, they might be able to do the technical aspect, but if they go to a home, you know, and they're 20 years old and the occupants are in their 60s and one's a doctor and one's a lawyer, and they're going to get eaten for lunch. And the only person that's suffering really is the owner, because you're never going to see that customer again. And they're going to tell 10 of their friends that your company is no good. So you got to equal that balance with the technical training to get these guys so that they can go with confidence and ring a doorbell and know how to look a client in the eye, and know how to address them, know where to park the van, know where to put the equipment, know to not walk across the grass of the $1 million home. All these little things, these soft skills, they're what people really decide if your company's any good or not. That is the criteria, because if you're a plumber, they figure when they call a plumber that any plumber can plumb. That may or may not be true, but in their mind, that it's all the same. So what they base their experience on is how good the service is, not the actual plumbing, right? So we got to make sure we get this down. And that starts, and this is going to be the prevailing theme of this webinar, it starts with you. You can't behave a different way than you expect the technician to behave. You have to do it first and do all the things that, you know, you say that you want your guys to do. You need to do it. Larry, you had a little problem with this.
Yeah, I did.
You know, and that's the thing. Larry's that maverick owner. He became an entrepreneur because he wanted to do things his way. But as you start to grow, you can't do that. It's incongruent to the task of us being a team.
Yeah, they don't see, Larry did that. Larry did that. Oh, yeah. No, don't do it my way, and I can't do that anymore, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, because if Larry did that, but then he tells you to do something, you know, do as I say, not as I do, then nobody does it, right? So you have to buy in first to the soft skills training. The next thing, systems. I mean, we have Paul on the channel right now. He and I are talking about systems all the time. That, you know, the way to get him where he wants to go, end game, is to get these systems in place. And, you know, most small businesses don't really have that many systems. It's not uncommon to have guys that, you know, it's that word of mouth game, you know, where Timmy told Susie and Susie told Jimmy and Jimmy told Bob and Bob told Alice. And by the time it gets to Alice, it's completely different than what it was at the beginning, right? Yeah. You know, so, you know, I always liken systems to like sports or, a game. Can you imagine playing Monopoly, but there's no rules? What would you do? You'd guess how to play, and then everybody would be playing differently, and it would be, a disaster, right? But coming to work when there's no systems is like playing Monopoly and there's no rules for Monopoly. It doesn't work well, and then what it does is it creates a guessing game. So, and Melvin was a great example of this. Melvin wanted to know what the rules were. He wanted that direction so that he could say, well, no, I did it just like you taught me to do it, because that was a safety net for him. He wasn't having to go out in the field and guess what is right versus what's wrong. He wanted that structure and stability of the systems that we had. And, when you don't have that, it's not fair to the employees. But in reality, it's not fair to you owners and managers either, because you're frustrated all the time because you're not getting what you want. You're going, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. But then it's not fair to the employees either, because they don't really, really know exactly what they're supposed to do. So, sorry, I have allergies horribly. So excuse me. It starts the circuitous death cycle.
He's been smoking all morning long. Don't listen to him.
I quit yesterday. It starts a circuitous death circle. So you hire a good candidate. And Larry and I have done this so many times, it pains me. And you're like, wow, that guy's great. He's going to be great, or she's going to be great for our company. And you're excited and they're excited. And then they come to work and you don't train them and you don't teach them soft skills and you don't have systems for them. And then it goes to the 6 o'clock thing and you're angry and you think they suck and they're frustrated because they never know if they're doing a good job or not. And then, bad feelings happen and you let it go on for a while because you're trying to avoid it, hoping they'll get better. And then you finally fire them. And then you just start that whole cycle again. Larry, how many times have we done this?
Too many times I don't want to admit.
Yeah. And the reality
we didn't realize we were doing it for years. We didn't even have any idea that we're doing this.
No. So we're setting them up for failure, but it also sets us up for failure, right? So that's why we need to have this system of culture built in, because also when you already have your culture set up with your other team members, they're going to help bring that person to where you need them to be. It isn't all on you, the owner, all the time. Because when you have a culture, it's a lot like a locker room in sports. They're going to teach that new hire how your company does it the right way. Okay. So we don't want to be in this circuitous death circle, because to be honest, I think Larry and I probably lost a lot of very good people that had a lot of potential, but we did this to them and then for years blamed them when in reality it was us.
Yeah.
Okay. Step 4, frequent reviews. Anybody that's been on a webinar with me before, I push this all the time. It's very common for people to get reviewed like every last week of December of every year. But the problem is that the feedback loop is way too long. If you go 12 months without a formal review, you're probably got an employee that's doing all kinds of stuff that irritates you or isn't exactly how you want to do it, but then they're not getting told how to do it right. So it's unfair to the employee not to review them frequently enough. It's unfair to you because you're not getting what you want if you don't take a little bit of time and do it. So like I said, shorten the feedback loop. It avoids confusion, because when you address things formally, and when I say formal, I mean quickly. Larry and I would do one of these reviews in 5 to 10 minutes flat. We reviewed every single team member every single month. And if everybody that stays till the end, we're giving away a bonus. I'll actually give you my monthly review sheet so that you can have that. This is one of the biggest game changers in our business, because all of a sudden there's no frustration anymore. And when you get reviewed every single month, they like it because they know exactly what is expected of them and what we don't want. And also we like it because we're not harboring that kind of anger, like, oh, Nick, who's in the picture with Larry, Nick isn't doing it how I want it done. That grates on me. And how many owners sit and just feel that way about Nick year after year, going, yeah, he's an okay employee. But maybe that okay employee could be a great employee if he got reviewed more frequently. right?
It's an opportunity to connect with your guys.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going at home? How are you guys doing? How's your wife? How's your kids? Cool.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity. You connect. You don't have to dive into it. You ask him those questions, and it's a system that you're going to have a few minutes to sit down and talk to him about his world, and it makes a difference. It goes a long, long way.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so frequent reviews, very important. All right, this is the last one, and this is the crux of this whole thing. Owners, you got to own your shit. That's the bottom line. It's your business. Every single thing that's wrong in your business is 100% your fault. Nobody wants to hear that. We all want to think we're perfect. We all want to think we do great. But Larry and I, when we finally got to the point where every time we'd get a call back, instead of getting mad at the technician, we'd look at each other and go, all right, what did we do wrong that precipitated that call back? Every time the guy would, the van would get crashed or bumped into something. All right, what did we do that the van got? It was once we started realizing that every single thing that happened was essentially our fault. That's when we started getting to the point where our business was just killing it.
Yeah.
Right.
We knew that we needed to take care of our guys.
We were owning it.
Yeah.
And
100%.
You've got to come to that. And look, we didn't want to come to that. We always thought it was easier to say it was the other guy. you know, we all want to do that, but the reality is that the buck stops with us. So before you go on your journey to start your culture thing, this is where you have to start. This is the point where you have to start, is that it's all on me. Nobody's coming to save me. It's my business. Anything that goes wrong with it, I have to fix it. It was probably precipitated by me not doing something. All right. So let's get into solutions. Okay. Resources to fix the culture. Morning Tech Meeting. Larry, you want to tell them what Morning Tech Meeting is all about?
Morning Tech Meeting is a system that we developed that creates training, soft skill training for your guys every single day. It mimics exactly what we did, and it's so functional for many businesses. Every single day you meet with your team for about 10 minutes every morning, any service business, and you go over the day, a lesson. Eric presents a lesson on a video that goes 5 to 7 minutes, and it goes directly to what they're dealing with in the field. It creates conversation right afterwards. It creates a theme for the day in your business, and all of a sudden the culture will turn around. They'll buy into these lessons. It's something that you as the owner does not have to do. You just bring them there. You watch the lesson with them. You engage with them. You don't have to prepare anything. You don't have to get ready for it. You just turn it on. It's a very reasonable investment, which we're going to go over, and it will change the culture of your business. Everybody will buy in to the lessons. You have Monday morning is personal development for these guys, in-home behavior, which is so valuable. And then DISC, which if you don't know DISC, it's going to be the most important lesson of the week. And then upselling. And Eric goes through those and then you have a review on Friday. And Eric goes through those every week. You take 10 minutes out of your day to go through those topics every single day. The culture of your business will improve. And we have many, many businesses. And you can see on the site testimonials that people are really benefiting. One guy has a restoration business with 40 people, and he shows it in this big room. It's like a classroom every single day. The techs come in, they're all dedicated to come on time because they're looking forward to the lesson every day. And we have another company that has 2 technicians. It's a security company, and they watch this lesson every day. And the technicians are so happy and grateful that the owners are investing in them, because Eric's a coach for your technicians. He's not necessarily a coach for you. He's a coach for your technicians. Follow the lessons, be engaged to show that you are engaged in the lessons as well as a leader, and it works great. So Eric's rushing me along because he has a success path.
So I mean, really, Larry and I have just been working on this. We're identifying the different levels that you'll see in your technicians as they start doing these videos. Foundation levels. They learn the importance of good personal habits in and outside of work, gain an introduction to self-awareness via DISC, and start to embrace your company culture, right? that's the beginning. When they do the first month or so of the meetings, they're going to start, it's not going to happen overnight. They're going to start embracing these things, and they move up. They can start identify their strengths and weaknesses during DISC, and they start to, see what we're talking about. And they begin the process of embracing the importance of in-home sales, setting goals for their career and their personal life, right? You need them to be good outside of work, just like they are inside of work, because for all of us, they're the same thing. If you're not good at home, you're not going to be good at work, and vice versa. Then we head to journeyman level. Technician relates well to company mission and team, prides himself, herself on providing an amazing customer service experience, owns their actions due to DISC self-awareness training, strong add-on sales skills, and can run their own van with very little management, right? That's what we want. We want to be moving people to that point, because that's how your business is going to move. In craftsman level, self-motivated, can run multiple jobs and crews at once. Excellent at estimating and in-home sales, proficient at identifying DISC personality traits in others, and can apply that knowledge to overcome. So using DISC, our guys would be good at if a customer was upset. They had the skills through DISC training to manage that client, to get them happy again. Okay. And then, craftsman level, that person can now take workload off managers and owners at times. They might not be able to fix everything, but they can start taking some of your workload away, right? And then master level is basically a technician that's 100% independent and can often take the place of an owner or a manager to lessen their oversight roles. Strong leader who keeps the company culture in the field, able to train and mentor new technicians, strong sales, customer service skills, and lead a team. I mean, the reason Larry and I wrote this is because this is that's kind of the path that we saw our guys take. The best people, the people who bought in the most and worked the hardest, would start working up that path a lot further. And, everybody's going to stop somewhere. But if your company can get people at that craftsman and master level, that takes a huge load off owners and managers, right? So daily lessons, this is kind of what a daily lesson would look like. So I'll play this real quick here. I won't play the whole thing, just a few minutes. Hey guys, Eric, good morning, techmeeting.com. Today, I want to talk about two technicians, Chuck in a truck or Paul the Pro. And that's what we used to call it at our company. When we'd look at competitors, we'd say, does that guy look like Chuck in a truck? So let's compare and contrast what Chuck in a truck versus Paul the Pro would look like on the field, okay? First thing, workday starts at 7 a.m. for a lot of us. Chuck in a truck, he rolls in late every day. Every single day he's late. Every single day the boss is wondering if he's going to even show. Every single day he's running in like we all don't know he's late already. We're trying to sneak in the back of the warehouse or whatever, right? Paul the Pro, 15 minutes early, having his cup of coffee, slowly easing his or her way into the day, okay? They're getting ready to work. I had a guy that's from the South that I used to work for, and he'd say, that's when you're fixing to go to work. The fixing part is when you're preparing, okay? So be on time, be early. Early is on time. Chuck in a truck rolls in hungover. He partied last night. He parties every night, every single night. Every single morning he comes in and his eyes are bloodshot and he's yawning and he feels horrible and he spends 30 minutes in the bathroom before he gets in his van to roll out because he's not feeling good. And that's his life. How good a job can you do in the field serving your customers and just being a professional if that's how you behave? Paul the Pro is well rested. He got out of work, had a nice dinner, spent time with his loved ones, maybe did a little bit of exercise, watched some TV, and got to bed at a reasonable hour. Okay, so you guys get the hang of that. But, every morning is a video that's about 5 minutes long. That's something like that. That's a personal development video. Because we learned quickly that the guys that were, not doing the right things when they left work would have a hard time the next day at work. So Larry and I had to learn to get them to buy into during the week. These are the behaviors that you need to do to make sure that you're good for the next day. Okay. So Larry, you want to run through some of the benefits? Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry there. I was coughing. Anyway, we got to get through this because people want to be out of here in an hour,
Yep.
and that's what we're shooting for. So with the technicians are going to have better communication skills with their clients and within themselves, because you want your technicians to get along well. And we saw that a lot. And that's how the disc helped the guys. They're much more independent in the field from these lessons. They appreciate you investing in them as a team, and it makes them want to work harder for them. The in-home sales lessons that Eric does every Thursday, the best sale is the sale when you're on site. It's the most profitable sale, and those will happen a whole lot more with your company. A couple of our clients are killing it with in-home sales. And you're going to have a better company culture, which this whole webinar is about, and all these reasons that we're talking about. And then your guys, once they're empowered to do things, they think on their own better. They make decisions better. They have less callbacks, which, as you all know, we can't stand callbacks. It costs so much money. And they're better at creating an amazing service experience. And you don't have to be there to supervise them. You're giving them this lesson in the morning, and all of a sudden it's building them up. Eric's building them up, and the value is very helpful. And you're going to have more profits and fewer frustrations. Yeah. And it works really well. Go ahead, Eric. You got the next slide.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody out on as close to on time as we can. So we're going to show you some of the costs associated and some of the services that we have. It's not a big sales pitch. We'll just kind of go through it, and then we can do a Q&A after if anybody would like to do it. So
yeah, I sent everybody some information. I emailed them to you just a moment ago. Okay. And you should have the email of the pricing page that we just sent out.
So normal price for that per company is $39 a month or $399 a year. We're going to have a webinar special at the end. I know some of the people are already on and are members, so this doesn't really apply to you. And then I also have Maxwell leadership videos. I'm going to show this briefly. To admit what I don't know, that I don't need to know everything. Okay, I'm going to give an example of that. At my cleaning and restoration company, in the early years, I knew everything because there were only a few guys. Everybody relied on me, and I'd get 50 phone calls a day. What do you want me to do here? What do you want me to do there? And it all revolved around me. Here's the pitfall in that. When you become the hub of the wheel and you're Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Know-It-All can't grow. You can't get more vans. You can't get more trucks. You can't get more clients because you can only have so many people coming to you for all of the information, right? So you have to know what you don't know and let somebody else know something. So anyway, that's just a brief snippet. I do these Maxwell videos. They're all based on the book Leadership Gold, which is 26 lessons, 26 chapters, and they're basically for owners and managers. It's, that part of we talked about leadership and owning your stuff. That really begins and ends with you. So these lessons usually in the 10-minute mark, roughly a week. So it's not a huge time commitment because we know your time crunch, but I'm taking the Maxwell lessons and then putting it in that blue collar service business vernacular that we can all understand. So normally we charge $189 per video series, which is a very low investment for 26 lessons. And we're actually going to lower the price a little bit at the end as well. And then I do one-to-one coaching for some people, not too many because I don't have enough time to do that. But what we do is we focus in on building culture, systems, owner-technician relations, and personality profiling implementation. I mean, I feel as an owner, these are the 4 big things that helped us grow and the skills that a lot of us, look, they don't teach this stuff in school. Like we had to learn it the hard way. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time getting coached to figure these things out. And if you need extra help with implementing these types of things, then I'm there for some one-on-one coaching. Larry, how many slots do we have left?
We have 4 slots left.
4 slots left. Okay.
Yeah, because you're busy, and we can't have you.
I'd take 40, but Larry won't let me.
No.
I like that, but there's only so many hours in the day. So if anyone needs that, it's $4.99 a month. That's an hour Zoom call a week, 3 30-minute Zoom calls, and then tech support if you need it. And we actually have a deal on that as well at the end. And then the bonus review sheet that we talked about earlier, everybody that's on, we'll just send you a PDF with this. Like, please use this. This is like one of the best things you can do. I mean,
that's a nugget you could take out of today. It's really
helpful. If you do nothing else, if you start with this, that will help your company immensely. If you just commit every month to doing a review with your people, you will see a huge change in everybody's attitude. So that will be free. Excuse me. And then, Larry, do you want to go through the webinar specials and all that good stuff? Or
yeah, okay. I emailed this. This is in the chat. I just put it there so anybody can click on that. And like I said, I emailed it to you a few minutes ago. And what we're offering, it's usually $39 a month, but today it's going to be $29 a month. And this page here was emailed you. So if you emailed to you, so click on the link that's in the chat or check your email. It's one meeting a week for the whole year, and it's $29 a month.
One meeting a day.
One meeting a day. I apologize. Yeah, one a year wouldn't be very effective.
I'd have more time.
Yeah, you would. And then the leadership training that Eric's doing, it's $99 for the course, which is 26 lessons. And Eric's a John Maxwell certified coach. It's really good stuff, and it's catered to you as a blue collar service business owner. And you can take the lessons, it translates to your team. And if you want to do both, the leadership and the morning tech meeting, is $36 a month. And that's just bundled together over a year, that $99 over a year, added on the $29. So for 1 year, it's $36. And after that, it's $29 per month for the morning tech meeting. And it's a killer deal. We have many people that took advantage of that on our last webinar, and they're benefiting dramatically. And then, of course, you have the coaching special. Eric's going to help you with your team. He's going to help you connect with your team. He's going to help you create culture, everything that you can possibly need with the training of the technicians, guiding of the technicians, connecting with the technicians. Eric's got a huge talent for it. That's his superpower. Yes, he's Superman. What's your favorite superhero? You would say Eric, because it's Tech Whisperer, because that's what I need him to do. So yeah, that's $349 a month. And you can take a look at the page, and then the page will take you to a link, and then you can put your name and information, your credit card there. And yeah, it's really a good deal. You'll be very happy. So do we have any questions at this point? You see in the question and answer. I have a couple independent ones coming, and I had some coming email to me a few minutes ago. And let me see. One's coming in now. I can see the dots opening. Actually, while this is coming in, what is everybody's biggest takeaway? Does anybody have anything particular that they wanted to let us know about? Yeah. One person enjoyed. We didn't play enough of Eric's lesson. Yeah, I got that. But the time's going over, so it's
actually that lesson is on our website as
really?
one of the free. Yeah, I think we have 3 or 4 lessons on the website. So if you go to morningtechmeeting.com, that lesson in its entirety is there.
Okay. Okay, great. So one of the question is, how long does it take you to do your morning meeting lesson every morning? So why don't you answer that, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, how we always did it was we would have a quick production. I mean, I'm going to go over like a whole meeting. So we'd have a quick production meeting to make sure everybody knew where they were going. That was usually 8 to 10 minutes of getting everybody in everybody's van, knowing where they needed to go for the day and what. Then play a video. My videos tend to go 5 to 8 minutes. And then if you have a couple other minutes, talk about whatever I talked about in the video, like, and relay it to a recent job or something that's going on in your company. So you should have everybody out the door in 20 minutes or less if you had a production meeting. If you don't have a production meeting, 10 minutes or so, 10 to 15.
One question just came in. How soon until you see a difference in your technicians from the lessons?
It's hard. It depends a little bit on what your culture is like already and how much they buy in to your company. But I mean, when we started, we didn't have a whole lot of buy-in. The culture wasn't very good. I would say it probably takes about 3 months to really all of a sudden start seeing the difference.
I beg to differ. It happened sooner with certain guys. Guys that wanted to do better, you would start seeing things. They'd start talking about the lessons more often.
Yeah, I guess I meant like everybody.
Yeah. I mean, you just start the ball rolling.
If you can get one of your more respected technicians or people to buy in quickly, then other people will buy in because that person's buying in as well, because they're respected.
And that makes a difference. One guy's asking, do you need to watch the lessons with them every day?
No, I mean, it would be helpful, but we have many people that don't, they just play the lesson.
Yeah.
As
long as you know,
as you know what's in the lesson too yourself, like if you take 5 minutes as an owner and then while you're talking to them about other things, like drop a little bit of that lesson into it, they know you're paying attention and you care. I mean, the more that you show that you're bought in, the better the result will be.
Yeah. And how do you present these lessons to your team? Which is a really good question, actually.
Well, that's Larry, that's your thing. You take that. I mean,
well, what we did it. We did it a couple different ways. Eric would be in front of everybody presenting it, of course, but he would be out of town sometimes. So we'd get a big screen TV that we had, and we'd wheel it in on a table, and we'd bring it into the shop, and we would just go through the lesson like that.
You could do that was any which way: laptop, iPad, projector on the wall, any whatever audio visual that you can do, just get it done.
Yeah. And also what we're doing is we're emailing the lessons to technicians. If you're not meeting this COVID time, we kind of started that up. We'll email the technicians the lessons individually, and then we'll look at the lessons and they would have a discussion. Sometimes they had a Zoom meeting, or they'd expect the guys to go through learning the information on their own, and then they'd have some type of discussion during the day. The technicians would meet each other and have conversations with techs and talking all throughout the day, and they would learn about the lesson. So you could have it on a big screen, you can have it on a laptop, one guy projects it onto the wall, whatever you have the capacity to do. I have a question here that just came in. I'm the person who handles culture, and we are a med spa business. We have 6 locations with business, 4 different owners, and I struggle with their buy-in because they don't feel like it matters. Well, that's where the daily, or Eric, why don't you can take a look at the question. It's on the Q&A.
Yeah. Let's, I'd like to talk to that person, whoever that was, individually. Like, can we set that up for later? But I mean, I'll answer it as much as I can. I'd like some more info. I guess the question would be, do you have 1 or 2 of the 4 owners who would buy into the idea of culture and start doing what you can where you can? I mean, anything you can do is better than nothing. And I think, though, I need more info and to like really hear what's going on to give a really informed
answer. Some feedback. Okay. We had 2 owners in our business, Eric and I, and we were totally on separate pages. And I wasn't into the meeting necessarily in the beginning.
That's true.
And he was pushing for it. And Eric would do it, and I'd hang out, and I'm like, come on, let's get everybody out of here. We got to get everybody out of here. And that was a bit of a challenge. But him having the meetings just for that short period of time, they would buy into that he was caring for them. And we have a video here that talks like Ashley, and it just shows the meeting showed that we cared about them. And then when they see that you care about them, then they know that their work matters, which goes towards what you were saying. They don't feel that it matters.
Yeah.
We got
Well,
to get some buy-in from the owners.
yeah, but even if you can, I'm giving a little time to think. You know, I mean, if you had one location that a manager, or if you could like start doing it in one location, and everybody was on board and okay with that, almost like a pilot program, and then all of a sudden the other 5 locations, the owners could see that the one location that's starting to do like morning tech meeting and all these culture things, because you'll see them improve. And then you'll actually have a way to show the owners that it works. I think that was what it was with you, Larry. I had to show you that it worked.
Yeah.
Because Larry would sit there and say, Eric, we've got 29 guys sitting there for 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And he's like just running this math in his head. And I'm saying, hold on. We're going to get more upsells. We're going to have fewer callbacks. Our margins are going to go up. You've just got to trust the process. And then I proved it to him that it worked. And once that happened, then he totally changed his mind and was just as big a fan of all of this than I was.
Yeah. It took a while, but that's just part of
the
deal.
And you actually went up and down over the years on that too. You never really, until the very end, became super comfortable with it.
Okay. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful, Jennifer, and we'll connect with you later.
Yeah, well, let's connect, and I'd like to hear like in more detail, and maybe I can give a better answer.
Yeah, because we do work with different industries. And that was another question. Does this work in different industries?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we have auto body shops that, I mean, like they're geared to a person going to a home and working, but it's no different than people coming to you to do work. So like we have auto body shops that, you know, they train their customer service reps and their technicians on dealing with the customers at their shop, and they just use our lessons because it's really all the same concepts of going to a house. And then we have security companies, and I think we have a couple doctors' offices, and you know, I mean, look, the bread and butter for us is the trades: plumbing, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and carpet and water damage. But yeah, we do a little bit of everything. I mean, look, every business in the world is different by like an inch. Like they're not that different. So I'm stealing that quote from somebody, a friend of ours, but it's really true. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. This is applicable to all.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we're going over here. If anybody else has any other questions.
Yeah. Larry, is there a way to get, if anybody wants to do like a Zoom call with me so that, you know, for free, that if they want to talk about some of this other stuff, they can do that?
Yeah, we can get your Alacrity set up. We'll send somebody a link with all your Alacrity appointments.
Acuity.
Acuity. Close. Alacrity is what we use the podcast for.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's land this plane. I don't want to take people's time too much, but thank you everyone for coming on. Much appreciated. I hope we added some value today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. We'll be in touch with everybody. We'll have a replay of this. We had a couple of guys that came in late. Kevin and Oscar, we're very happy you were here. And there was another girl, Mariana, that's gone. She was here for a little while. We'll email a recording of this to everybody. And we'll be all set. So everybody have a great day. And if you need anything, reach out to us. You know our emails and our phone numbers down there as well. And yeah, hope this was beneficial to everybody. Take care. We'll see you.